then you watch a game like tonight and LeBron kicked his ass. He's not ready to be a top 15 guy, but he really, really, really gives a shit about every game. It's great. I love it. This is a long, sustained offensive excellence that when you watch it feels legitimate. We're not going to be nice. What do we care? We're just these, let's call it what it is. All right, we're live. And for some reason, I'm staring at myself. I hate when that happens. What's up, Sal?
What's happening? What, you don't see me?
Huh? No. Oh, there we go.
I'm the big fat guy on the other end.
No, this is way good. Okay. All right. It is Sunday. It is 8:35 p.m. Pacific time. Just watched the Eagles absolutely kill the Rams. Sal, I did something unusual today. I wasn't going to bet on this game. And then I watched how bad the Patriots were against the Dolphins. And I said to myself, Jesus, they should have beaten the Rams last week. That might mean the Rams are bad. And I bet
interesting.
On the Eagles. Yeah. Yeah.
That rarely works. So congratulations, right? When we start playing mind games and double guessing and triple guessing things. But God damn, they really did look good. I hate the Giants that much more. Not that Saquon would have been good with them. He would have been ineffective and whatever, they don't have an offensive line or a quarterback that could help, but to let him go to the Eagles and now, I don't know, man, they're going to be top 2 in the NFC, almost no doubt now.
Well, it seems like things have tilted too far with the running back position where the contracts went down. Everyone talked about how replaceable they were. And then it hit the point last summer or last spring when Derrick Henry and Saquon were both available. They were on bad teams. Their stock was down because of the quarterbacks, the coaching, they're just wasted on the teams they were on, bad offensive lines. And then you grab those guys and put them on a different team and they look superhuman. And I wonder if going forward now, we'll just know, like in fantasy, in futures and all this stuff. It's like, oh yeah, Derrick Henry was on a bad team last year. He should be in a really good situation this year. I don't know why this was so hard to figure out, Sal.
Josh Jacobs also, right? To a lesser extent, not in the top 2 with those guys, but yeah, I know. And you need a good running back to go far in January. I was wrong about all of it, but I don't know, Bill, I don't know what to tell you. Melissa Stark's talking about being the recipient of the tush push, and I can't comment. I like this job, Mike. Come on.
Mike, thank God we're on a 7-second delay. Thank God. Best running back rankings are Saquon and Henry 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you're doing tandems or running back core, Detroit is probably also in the conversation, right? So it's Saquon and Henry. It's the Gibbs-Montgomery combo. And then I don't even think we can make them out Rushmore. I think those have been the kind of the best running back / whatever. And then it's like a drop off to whoever you'd want to have next. Miami might have a chance to get there because it feels like those guys are getting going now. But I think it's the top 3 at least.
I want to put Ezekiel Elliott in there, but I just can't. I can't do it. Let's see who else would have been. Well,
That's
McCaffrey.
Really
you want to put McCaffrey, but he's just now he's stuck on the bad team. I don't know how that happened.
Well, and he doesn't look good is the other issue, right?
Yeah.
Do you think he looks good?
Ball up? No. I would never say that about another man. But no, I don't know. He's just that team is just falling apart, and they were so deep, and you would think they were like bulletproof for this kind of meltdown, but not the case. No way in hell they're making the playoffs now.
Well, Henry and Barkley are 1-2 in rushing. Josh Jacobs is 3rd, and Chuba Hubbard is 4th.
Right.
So good luck on your fantasy teams, everybody. Lots to discuss.
I think Philly plays Baltimore next week. So in terms of this offensive player of the year award, like I think it's going to be won next week, even though, I think Barkley's a sizable favorite at this point.
And he's sneaking into the MVP conversation. He won't win.
Right.
His running backs aren't allowed to win, and we'll talk ourselves out of that in 2 weeks. So we can start with Eagles, Lions, how this is a pretty amazing NFC, or we could just do the gambling angle of how Washington absolutely murdered a slew of 3-team teases, money line parlays. Just, I'll throw Washington in. Literally nobody on Dallas is playing
Yep.
backup QB. They're missing 5 of their best 7 guys. They need the win. I'll just put them in there. And we haven't had one of those in a while, Sal,
Right.
where it was just a mass murder, John Wayne Gacy style, going into the basement, just getting decapitated, just
Yeah.
brutal. And then what made it even worse was you're like, oh, I can't believe I lost that game. And then somehow Washington comes back with this insane McLaurin play that
Mm-hmm.
happens once a year, and they make it. And that fucking kicker is lining up. And I'm like, I should be more nervous right now. And then I'm like, I am nervous. And then, of course, terrible snap. You knew once you saw the snap, he was going to hook it. Not only did he hook it, he missed it by, I would say, 10 yards.
Awful.
And
Yeah.
they end up losing the tees anyway. Probably the other than the Hail Mary, maybe the second biggest gambling moment of the year.
Yeah, I would think so. I would say so. Yeah, but this one was a sloppy slop fest from the start, right? Like, and also I don't know what's going on with the kickers. Were we just too spoiled in the first few weeks when everybody was making like 59 and 61 yarders, and now like it doesn't even seem like it's raining, but everybody's kicks are getting blocked or sailing far right on extra points. But
Or
yeah, it's like,
Fairbairn today from 28.
oh yeah. Yeah. And people are like, well, they put more loft on it if it's closer. These coaches have to get closer. I'm like, I don't think so. I don't know. I just don't know if anyone's blocking in practice. But yeah, and I really wanted to be mad at my team. Like, what is that McLaurin bullshit? Like, are you kidding me? We can't lay a finger on him. And then when they missed the extra point, I'm like, can't you just let me be mad at my team? And
Right.
but
Could you have called a timeout before the PAT so I could be mad for 3 minutes?
Exactly. But the commies did a communist thing by not letting America cash on their 3-team teaser. You're right.
I think Washington. I remember betting on Washington for the division at the height of wow, it looks like Washington's going to actually be really good time of the season. And if you go with if the Hail Mary doesn't happen, they're a 500 team.
Yeah.
And they are way worse. So 12 games now, they're way worse in the second 6 than they were in the first 6. Questions about whether they're even a playoff team at this point.
I don't know if they get to 10. Yeah, I don't know.
Listen, it was a suspicious line. There's no question. The line was too high. It was priced for maniacs like us to make us think twice before we did the 3-teamer with them. But there was just no way I was going to be nervous with Dallas. What I texted you after the game, the weird thing about this game was Dallas played well.
Right.
Like, you moved the ball, you ran the ball. Cooper Rush was pretty good. Like, he was throwing completions. I was nervous in the second quarter. I didn't like how it was going. The defense was really active. Washington couldn't run the ball at all. And you played well enough that I actually had to, I had to redo the play. I had them as a cross off. I don't know if you cross them off at this point.
Garbage. What are you talking about? Yeah, I can see you smile. That's a nice little smirk.
No, it's not there. Michael Corleone in Godfather 3. It's Silvio as Michael Corleone. Just when I was out, they pulled me back in.
No, but they're crossed the hell off. Look, this is they got up for this game. Like not that
you're not crossed off yet. Sal,
I could see you're nuts. You're absolutely nuts.
4-7. You're playing the Giants next week on Christmas. You're gonna be 5-7. You beat Cincy at home, and then you're at Carolina. You can be 7-7 in
I was hoping
3 weeks.
As a friend,
don't tell me you didn't look at this.
Have more decency. I looked at it a month ago. I know what's up against. We have too many home games. First of all, we're gonna get crushed. But I think we got up for this. And by the way, there's no way. I didn't predict this ahead of time. I was with the rest of the world, but we got up, wanted to show off for Dan Quinn. And just the same, we still needed 2 returns for touchdowns where our guy went untouched to pull it off. So I don't know. I'm not.
Well, wait, you needed more than that. The guy missed 2 PATs.
Yeah, right.
He missed 2 field goals. They got a punt blocked.
We missed 2.
And they gave up 2 kickoff touchdowns in the last 5 minutes of the game, which has to be a record.
And one of the kickoffs was like mishandled at the 1, and they still didn't get a finger on Turpin, who's very fast. But look, maybe it's this. Maybe we have to look at these division games like we did in college when we're like, no, division game, take the underdog. I think every division game, except for yours, ended up 1 score today. That's not to say all the underdogs covered, but it was at least Thursday one score, right? Competitive game. So I think that was 4 or 5 out of 6. So
Tennessee 7-5. I mean, Washington 7-5. They have Tennessee next week, bye week at New Orleans, home Philly, home Atlanta, at Dallas. There's a 9-8 in there. And you
Yeah.
guys, you would have at Philly in week 17, which seems like
Oh,
a terrible game, but they might have everything locked up and they might have the 2 seed locked up by then. And that game might not even matter for them. But you play Washington in week 18. And there's a scenario where you're a game back from Washington week 18. All the NFC North team, West teams have just all beaten each other. They're all 9-8, and there's some 9-8, clusterfuck that you could sneak in. I know you're thinking this deep down. I know you
there's
are.
a scenario where I'd reach through the Zoom and strangle you right now, because how do you, Packers in, right? Packers 8, right? The Vikings have 9, they're in. And then you don't think like,
I'll give it
first
to
of
you.
all,
I'll give you 6 playoff teams right now. Lions, Philly, Seattle, and Atlanta. Let's say those are 4 division winners. Minnesota's in and Green Bay's in. So there's 6.
Okay.
Washington 7-5. Arizona's 6-5. You're 2 behind them. The Rams are 5-6. You're a game back from them. Niners are 5-6, and Tampa's 5-6. 9-8 could get this 7 seed. You can't rule it out. You can't. When could Dak come back?
I'm ruling it out. He can come back, as far as I'm concerned, when he could come back, or when he can come back. He could be back. He could be back by the end of the year. I don't think so. Why are we talking about this?
I love this.
I really hate this. I hate that
I love it because I like torturing you. You're gonna be 5-7 after Thanksgiving.
We bet Tampa
playing the
Bay.
Giants.
Atlanta's going to win some dumb shit ass games, so they're going to get to 9 wins, right? And I don't know. Seattle and Arizona, someone stupid will get that 7 seed. Don't worry. But I will say, if your point is the NFC is not scary at all, except for the 2 teams, and we can lock the Lions and Eagles in for the championship game, I'm all ears. Like I would take odds on that right now. I don't like any other team.
Atlanta's going to win their division because they still have Vegas and the Giants and Carolina left.
I thought we bet did you not bet Tampa? We said we were going to bet Tampa. You didn't bet.
I don't know if we ever did. Tampa's 5-6.
We did say that.
But you play Tampa. You play Tampa in week 16.
I'll say this about Washington. Obviously, you have to watch them today. You should be less confident in them. But they are a completely different team that we fell in love with, that punted twice in 3 weeks or something. Like their offense is very... Are you going to get 2 touchdowns out of that offense? You can't guarantee. If you look at their slate, doesn't matter who they play. You can't guarantee that.
First half, Cliff Kingsbury. Second half, he does this, right? That's his history. Right. They can't run the ball. All right, be honest. You have to swear in your kid's life. All your Cowboys text threads you were on today, not one of them was like, hey, what's the path for us to make the playoffs? This wasn't discussed on a text thread.
It was, but in a joking way, I think. Like I even tweeted Super Bowl bound and all that. That doesn't count.
Oh,
right?
so Rudy says Dak is officially out for the season.
Yeah, I think the IR puts him out.
What if you sign Daniel Jones tomorrow?
Well, I thought it'd be funny just to match him up against Cutlets, but I don't know. No, we're not getting to 9 wins. We're not doing it. We will not do it.
Can't be ruled out, Sal.
You're crazy. I wanted to make fun of your team. This should not be.
Well, we're going to do that later. Don't worry. I have plenty of spots for that. Do you think the missed PAT by Washington canceled out the Hail Mary? Now we're back to even. It's like a 0-sum game.
I guess so, but they've been kind of crappy for a couple weeks now, right? So I don't know, momentum wise, it might kill them further, but they have not been good at all.
I'm going to read you 3 David Chang texts all in succession.
Let's hear it.
Washington fan David Chang. Yeah. I quit this team. Then the McLaurin touchdown. I'm back, baby. I'm back. PAT. Fuck this game. 3 in a row, just like in the span of a minute. That was a roller coaster ride of a awful loss.
Yeah.
Especially because everyone there is probably like, oh my God, Hail Mary a couple weeks ago. Now this crazy McLaurin play. We're going to win an OT. Here we go.
But Daniels isn't what he was, right? Like even when he takes off, he looks slower. I don't even know if it's ribs that with the original injury, or maybe it's just a long season. It's finally gotten to him.
I think they can miss the playoffs because If
Yeah.
you look at the 5-loss teams, they have 5 losses. So does Arizona. So is Seattle.
Hmm.
And there's one spot. Well, Rams, Seattle, whatever. There's an NFC title team, but the NFC West title team, but then there's another spot for the wild card. So Washington
Right.
had this, they were 7-2. Now it's like, holy shit. Atlanta has 5 losses, Tampa 6 losses. So I like the way Tampa looked today. And Tampa's
Yeah.
finally gotten their team back. Evans played, cornerbacks are back. So they can't be ruled out either.
I don't like that you didn't bet them with me at 5-1. We said it on, like, when you say you're going to bet something with a friend, that's like worse than then you don't do it. It's like
You know what I
sleeping with
did?
his wife. Like,
No,
I
you know
can't
what I
believe you
did?
didn't take
I
it.
was
Yeah.
going to bet it with you, and then I remembered that we weren't allowed to bet on the NFC South in a positive way. It was
I
only shorting.
know. No, I know. But plus 450. I love Tampa's schedule the rest of the way.
You know what I'm noticing? As always, I'm reading your facial cues.
Mm-hmm.
First 10 minutes of the pod. How many bets did you have Washington in? Like all of them?
Oh, not all of them. Probably like 70, but not all of them.
How many tied to Friday and
Ohio
Saturday
State,
games?
Notre Dame, some UFC that I didn't even get to see that was in China. Yeah, I mean, I had it all. I had it all. And it's always worse when it's your team. It's like, oh, I can't even get weirdly excited for my team because
Well,
the
you
other
always
team
make fun
screwed
of
me.
you make fun of me for that.
I know.
Welcome to Who's Delivering, presented by Uber Eats, where we break down the NFL players who have delivered so far this season, from household names to out of nowhere surprises. I think
Mm.
Saquon's the number one guy on this list because it's not just that he improved their running back situation and just makes them more dangerous when you see all their playmakers now, the Smith cert now. But the finishing ability of him, this team that you always felt like they would start out great and then they would kind of limp to the finish of these games. You never felt 100% on them. And now it just feels like they can extend leads. They're a game behind Detroit. The
Yep.
Lions are like, we've won 9 straight. How do we not have a bigger lead than this? So
Right.
I would say Barkley number 1 for me. What do you have?
I would say, well, this is down the list a little bit. Although, in terms of like next year for fantasy, Cortland Sutton, out of
Right.
nowhere. 90 plus yards in 3 of his last 5 games, touchdowns all over the place. Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton, maybe a top 5 hookup. And like which first round wide receiver that everybody swung and missed on would you take over Cortland Sutton at this point? Not too many.
All
right?
those $30 to $40 DJ Moore, Jalen Waddle types. The other thing is he's made tough catches. Like he'll make touchdown catches in the corner with 2 guys on him, getting the feed in. Yeah, he's good. The other one I'd want to mention for this is Jackson Smith Njigba, the Seattle guys, 336 yards in the last 3 weeks, but feels like every time they need a first down, anytime it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 7, he's open somewhere, he's making a play, and he's the best receiver on that team now. That was Who's Delivering, presented by Uber Eats, where you can get the best deals on game day food all season long. Uber Eats, the official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Taking a break for the podcast, staying here on the YouTube. So speaking of JSN, Seahawks 16, Cardinals 6. This game killed me.
Yeah, I think you had a lot more riding on this one. I could tell by our texts. Right?
I like the Cardinals a lot. The game came down to 2 terrible Kyler Murray plays. That's really, I mean, Geno threw a pick in the end zone, but you factor that in when you're taking the Seahawks. You know he's going to have one terrible pass.
Right.
Kyler had been playing pretty well and pretty responsibly. The game flips in the 3rd quarter on this 4th and 1 where he rolls out and then he has the guy. He just has him for a little 5-yard flick pass and sails it right over his head. And it's a pick 6. And they were on the Seattle side. And it was like at least a 10-point swing. That was one. And then the other one, he just missed McBride when they're driving in the 4th quarter, where if they had scored, they would have been able to get the ball potentially back with 4 minutes left. But here's where I landed, Sal. I don't know if I have, who's your career leader in, God damn it, why the hell did I bet on that guy, guys? Because I think Kyler's number 1 for me. He sucked me in 9 different times where he's done this to me. And I always forget. It's like when one of your friends who just has terrible taste in women and dates the same type of woman over and over again. And you're like,
Right.
why isn't that girl like Jenny from before? No, she's different. And it's like, you're right.
Same thing. Yeah.
I can't quit Kyler Murray just getting kicked in the teeth by him.
Mine's Phillip Rivers. Well,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Phil Rivers or Matt Ryan. I'm not even sure they're different people, actually. I think they might be the same. So,
Yeah.
but it was those two. Currently, there's just so many. I couldn't even name one. But you're right. He was 3 for 12. If he had a little better of a game,
In
they
third
would have
downs.
won.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 for 12 and third downs. And still favored to win that division at plus 155. Still favored.
16 pressures on him during the game by Seattle, 5 sacks. Their defense, Raheem was calling on this on the Ringer Sunday pregame show today. He was saying how he thought Seattle's defense was coming on. They did get some guys back in the middle. The thing that shocked me, one of the reasons I really liked Arizona was I thought they'd be able to run up the middle and really run on them. And especially with Connor, physical, it's the type of team that Seattle's had a lot of trouble with this season. And Connor had 8 yards.
Right.
Like they locked him down. The Arizona scoring only 6 points is kind of crazy. That team has talent.
But this
that
was
the
a
first
must
time.
win. This is a must win for Seattle, right? This would have been
Yeah.
5 in a row at home, and only the Cowboys do that. Like so,
Right.
I'm not even sure, and it looks like FanDuel's not sure either that Seattle is back to their Marshawn Lynch days. Really, they're not even favored to win after taking this game.
The only team I'm willing to cross off mentally, I wouldn't cross them off with pen, but maybe with pencil, is I think the Niners are just a wrap.
Oh yeah,
I don't see it. It's just, and we do this every year with at least one NFL team where we're past performance judging them, and we don't want to see what we're watching now. They've lost too many guys. They're not the same team. And it wasn't even that they didn't have Purdy today. Their defense got annihilated. The Packers ran it. Jacobs was the best guy in the field. They couldn't get their defense off the field. So even if Purdy had played or not, I don't think it would have changed the result. Do you?
Too many injuries. When McCaffrey was hurt, right? They had they had good fill-ins. That was fine. They kept their heads above water. And then all right, Ayuk is out. All right, it's all right. They still have, oh, well, Deebo Samuel hasn't done anything. Well, then you convince yourself Jawan Jennings is great. Now it's like, wow, they have really nothing offensively if Kittle's going to play every other game. But the one thing I thought today, I was like, didn't you feel like I'm not betting the Packers because we haven't praised Kyle Shanahan in years, and this could be the game where he puts it together, a nice game plan for Brandon Allen. Nope, not even close. It's over.
So I had the Packers for $1 million picks. Then Purdy got hurt and the line went up. And I was like, this has all the makings of a stay away in real life. The line's up too high, Shannon. So I wasn't going to bet it. And then the Washington game happened. I'm like, all right, Broncos with the Packers.
Good for
Let's
you.
go. Just throwing teams together to try to win money back. But I still like this Packers team. And I know even today, like Love wasn't great today. He was fine, but he missed. He had Watson what do we make of Watson? Is he just like, I was texting our fantasy guys, Danny and Craig, about it. I was just like, is this guy, has he killed more fantasy teams and seasons than any he's not like he's like a marquee receiver, but this pass today, he's wide open. He's running like a gazelle. He's beating 2 guys. It's right in his hands. And he just like muffs it like the dude from the Replacements. But anyway, that was Love's big touchdown that he didn't get. But I thought they looked pretty good.
Yeah, they did. And, they stomped out whatever offense the 49ers had, so it didn't matter. And they had good field position most of the way. But yeah, they're definitely a playoff team. They're definitely not as good as I think we get accustomed, and we'll talk about the Vikings, but you think teams like Green Bay and Minnesota should crush other teams like the Lions do every week, and they don't until this week when Green Bay stepped up. But you know what? You did a smart thing because you just can't rely on bad quarterbacks. So it's a miracle that Levis won. It's a miracle that Cooper Rush won. And then you're like, all right, that's out of the way. This is filling out nicely.
Right.
I'm going to go against Brandon Allen. And who else did you go against? Minshew? That's a nice little couplet.
Denver was one of my favorites all week. We had them in $1 million picks teased with Washington and KC. Two teams that almost lost. I should have just done the Broncos money line. I love the Broncos against the Raiders. So the Packers are somehow 8-3.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like an 8-3 season, but that it says that's their record. So they're going to be no worse than a 6 seed. And I think you want to be the 6 seed this year because that means you're either playing the NFC South, Atlanta or Tampa, or you're playing, Seattle, Arizona,
Wait,
probably
wait,
those
wait, wait.
two. If
The
you're a
7
6 seed.
plays the 2, the 6 plays
Six
the
plays the
3.
3. 3 seed's going to be either
Oh,
NFC
gotcha.
West or NFC
Okay.
South.
Yeah, that's fine.
So they're
Yeah,
right where they need to be. But then if you're the 6 seed, you also, do they reseed in round 2? They do.
yeah, this is
So they
the
have
only
to play
sport where
Detroit
they
in
do.
round 2.
Yep. Yeah. But
So
no,
maybe you
this
want to be
is
the 5 seed.
well, would thinking about it, if is Minnesota a favorite at Atlanta if that's a first round match? I mean, I wish I wish I can get into Minnesota. I can't bet them any weeks, and they're a weird team. Like Darnold goes for 330, but Jefferson only has 27. I don't know.
He had 7 at the end of the regulation.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
our seeds right now would be 2-7 Philly, Washington, 3-6 Seattle, Green Bay, 4-5 Atlanta, Minnesota.
Right.
And I think you're right. I think Minnesota is like a 2.5-point favorite. If we don't know what's going to happen the next 5-6 weeks, Seattle, Green Bay. So you go through Green Bay's schedule the rest of the way. First of all, this Miami game they have Thursday night. Now, actually, a week ago, I wouldn't have said this was that fun of a game. Now I'm kind of excited for it.
Lots
The way
of fun.
Tua
Yeah.
looked today, right? All of a sudden, that's a good game. And then they're at Detroit the next week. Then they're at Seattle. So this could go from 8-3 to 8-6 in in 2.5 weeks. And then they play at Minnesota in week 17 too. So, they could be
I
all
think
over
you're
the
right about
place.
the 7 seed having 9 wins, and which in that case, Green Bay doesn't have to worry about falling to 7. They'll get to
And
10.
plus your team could potentially make it
Shut up.
with
This
Daniel
is so
Daniel
stupid.
Jones. Daniel Jones leads the Cowboys.
Daniel Jones is Jerry Jones' illegitimate son, and we learn about it on Thanksgiving.
I can't believe it. How did they do that? Speaking of the Seahawks, really good interception title battle going on right now. We have a 3-way tie at 11 with Geno and Mahomes and Love. And then your guy, Sam Darnold, your preseason pick when we did our futures draft, you had Sam Darnold. What was it, like 10-1?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. It was somewhere around
He's
there.
at 10.
9-1.
He's only one back.
He's got 10.
Somehow Goff isn't in the top 4. He had 5 picks in a game. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Didn't
I thought Caleb Williams would be up there too. It's just shaking off the rookie rust, but he had 4 weeks where he didn't have a touchdown or an interception.
Yeah, did he have one today? What did he have? He had a
Actually, what did he do
today?
He had.
He had one at DJ Moore.
Yeah.
You know why I know that? Because I benched DJ Moore.
There you go.
The Seahawks, they're at the Jets amid could Aaron Rodgers be cut rumors. If Aaron Rodgers got cut before December, before the Netflix thing came out, what would the odds have been on that in August? Aaron Rodgers will be healthy, but cut before December. 100-1, 50-1. What would you have said?
No, he's a freaking basket. He's a basket case. 5-1. Of course, that's a pop.
5-1.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, or cut. I'd feel he walked away from the game. That's what I would think would happen. But I said enough about him. But I don't think they're planning it around any Netflix release at this point. Yeah, he's going to have the phantom injury, just like we all said, and that'll be that.
It's probably going to be this week against Seattle. It's a home Jets game, so that's Seattle's first game.
Geno Smith back at the old team. Yep.
Then they're at Arizona, rematch. Home Green Bay, home Minnesota, at Chicago, at the Rams. So I went back and looked at all the future bets I made, and I think I had the most bets on Seattle, which I might have made a mistake and accidentally bet on their over twice.
Oh, really?
But I had them most on their over to make the playoffs and to win the division. I had the trifecta, and I thought it was dead 2 weeks ago.
I think still don't know what to think. It's the only division that's going to come down to week 18. I mean, I don't see how it doesn't at this point. I mean, these 5-5 teams, 6-5, they're going to split everything the rest of the way. And it's going to be for positioning and final week in first week. All right.
So our Sunday night NBC week 18 game.
What do they have?
Seattle at the Rams or Arizona against San Francisco. So it could be Seattle at the Rams. That feels very Sunday.
You got to go with the quarterbacks. Yeah. I mean, if Purdy's still upright, then maybe it has a chance. But I think you're right. I think Seattle.
If the Rams are a game back,
Yeah, it all depends, right? They have to be playing for something.
so the Niners game, the Niners lose by 28. McCaffrey's 11 for 31,
Hmm.
37 yards receiving, and has had one of the most disappointing fantasy seasons in a while, considering he came back. But there was some Green Bay. Dobbs got a concussion.
Mm-hmm.
Probably no Alexander, and they're playing Thursday on Thanksgiving.
Right.
So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah,
San
but the
Francisco.
Dolphins have a huge handicap in that they're going to be playing in something less than 72 degrees.
Oh, it's going to be freezing. Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't wait to talk
it's going
about
to be a
that.
fun one.
And then San Francisco's at Buffalo, which could be they're 5-6. That could be it.
That's it. That's it anyway. Look at the rest of even beyond that
Yeah.
week. It's really bad.
You mentioned Vikings Bears.
Ugh.
So the Vikings play Detroit in week 18. And they're only a game back. It's not inconceivable that game would decide the 1 seed, but I watch these Vikings games and I felt this way for a month. I'm sure you have too, where
Mm-hmm.
you're like, what? How are they doing this?
Yeah.
Today, it looked like they blew the game because they didn't get the onside kick. But then Darnold was awesome in OT, and that was why they won. All of a sudden, Darnold like really heated up, and he's done this a couple times. I can't tell. Do you think he's sucking us in like Flacco did last year, or this is more real?
He might a little bit, but just like you said, you were surprised that the Packers had what, 8 wins? I can't believe this team has 9 wins. They struggle with all the teams that the Lions, and they're a game behind the Lions, like you said. They struggle with all the teams that the Lions just obliterated, right? The Titans, the Jaguars, it all came down to like, this was a fourth quarter game. And even this one, like the Bears, I had the Bears plus 3.5. I know you don't like that, but I did have it at 3.5. It came down to the kick. I mean, you have to take away 3 points on the Bears spread every week because of special teams. It's so bad. I've never seen a punt returner wave everybody off and then get hit by the punt himself and turn it over.
They are.
I've
They
never seen that in
really.
my life.
The montage of them at the end of the season would be pretty great. Yeah. So on our Sunday pregame show, your wise wager,
Right.
you're 10-2 now. You had the Bears 3.5. It was 3.5 at 7:57. We start the show at 8 Pacific time.
Yeah.
And at 8:10, the line went to 3. I don't know if you moved the line or what happened.
I think I did move it. And then
but take credit for it.
I'm going to say I'm announced 3.5. And then you text like, this spread is 3 everywhere. The spread Nazi, Bill Simmons, weighs in. So I was like, what are we going to do? We have graphics everywhere. This is TV.
Spread Nazi.
I don't know. You make music documentaries. You don't understand sports where you have to put the graphics on as they're going, but that's how it is. So,
hey, if you said it was 3.5 at 7:57,
thank you.
That's when you guys were starting the show. I'm just saying
it's my 7:57 bet. That's all. That's what I call
lucky
it.
break. So Minnesota, they played 3 games in a row at Jacksonville, at Tennessee, at Chicago.
Yeah.
And they won those games by 5, by 10, and by 3 in overtime. In week 9, they beat the Colts 21-13. In week 5, they beat the Jets 23-17. And in week 4, they won at Green Bay 31-29. They have not had a blowout win since week 3 when they beat Houston. Their next 3 games are at home. Arizona, Atlanta, Chicago on a Monday night. All super winnable. At Seattle, home Green Bay, at Detroit to finish it. I don't know what their final record's going to be. It could be like 14-3.
Yeah, I know. And they have all these 1-score wins. And I guess you can compare it to 2 years ago with Cousins when they had all the 1-score wins, but they won the division and they were a high seed right that year. This time they're going to have to do it on the road. So when are they going to surprise us? When they blow it or when they just march all the way to the Super Bowl?
I think this is a better team than that Cousins team.
Really?
Yeah, because the Aaron Jones piece, they have 2 good receivers. Hawkinson finally came back. I feel like they can move the ball when they actually need to. And Darnold, I want to not believe it, but he's, we've seen guys, the Geno Baker, like that. There's a track record for this now. Worst case scenario, probably Case Keenum.
Yeah.
who was
I
also in
just
Minnesota.
I just can't explain how Jefferson has 20. So he didn't get hurt, did he? Maybe I missed that he sat
Did
out.
not.
No?
Well, there was one play in the second half. He had like a 60-yard touchdown. He tiptoed down the line and scored and got called back.
Call back. All
So
right.
I think that was his big one. Okay. Chiefs Panthers is another one we have to talk about.
Hmm.
Chiefs 37, Panthers 27. This was the other sweated out part of the tease that was
30,
actually
27. Yeah.
hitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually
Yeah.
hitting as the Washington game was.
Right.
So I have two things on this one. One is that KC is just Milton Berling it every week now.
Yeah.
They're barely pulling it out of the zipper in these games. And then it's like, oh, all right, you guys tied and got the 2 point. Okay, now Mahomes is like flying around. They're throwing to Kelsey. But it just feels like they're trying to get to January when you watch them. With that said, Hopkins got going a little today. Worthy. Apparently, they have Hollywood Brown coming back. Kelsey, this Gray always seems to make one big catch. They can run the ball. Their offense looks like it's in way better shape than it was a year ago.
Yeah.
Are you any concerned with them yet? Because I don't have any.
Well, it's interesting because I'm both unimpressed with KC but I'm also like you. I won't say Milton Berle. I mean, we have plenty of dick jokes in this podcast, but I'll use a more PG-13. I think it's more. I think they were like playing. It's like when you play horse with your 7-year-old son and you spot him HORS.
Yeah.
But then you don't want him to win, so you try. All right, I'm going to start doing lefty hook shots and everything because you can't ultimately let him win. I think that's what they did. But also, what's going on? Like Mahomes had like 180 yards passing at half. They had 10 points in the first quarter. It looked like they could score 50. Can they just get back to that after a loss? Do they have to make you sweat it out like this?
Mahomes, we have one of the futures bets that we did when we did our future draft was Mahomes to get to 4,000 yards.
Oh, he's not.
It's gonna be it's gonna be tight. I think he can do it. He's got to average like he's over 2,400 right now, so he's got to average. Right. I don't know, like 260 a game the rest of the way. But I can't believe I'm sweating that out. Mahomes is gonna play every game. He's gonna play 17 games and not throw for 4,000 yards.
They're gonna go 15-2, and he's gonna be stuck at like 3,700 yards. Yeah, but until Noah Gray starts dating Olivia Rodrigo, I don't think the world is gonna be right.
That'd be great. Or Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah.
That's one thing. The other thing is I thought Bryce Young was good in this game.
Yeah.
Especially in the second half. I thought there were plays where apparently he was 11 for 13 on blitzes. That was the stat I saw on the internets, but there were plays where you kept waiting for him to make a terrible Bryce Young pass or a tip play but he had a lot of poise. He delivered on some third and longs.
Yeah, some gutty third down conversions. Yep.
Moved around, bought himself time. I don't remember a situation like this. We've seen a guy lose his mojo on a team where it seemed like it was over and then he went to another team, but not in the same season with the same team is pretty unusual.
It is bizarre. I think we both thought Andy Dalton, this was his team for the rest of the year, right? And then I don't know. It's not the same as what's going on with Richardson, although I don't even know what's going on with Richardson because they brought him back, right?
He was bad. He was bad today.
Not good.
But tough matchup.
Good. Yeah. So no, I'm impressed with him. I mean, as long as he doesn't embarrass himself, and he's not even close to doing that. He's putting up points and staying close with Kansas City. Put them in the 7th seed. They're getting it before the Cowboys. Carolina. There we go.
The weird thing about this, so Dalton has the job and they're playing okay with him. And it looks like and they're talking about, can you trade for Bryce Young? Are they going to waive him after
trade him to Dalton the Giants before you go to overseas? Yeah.
Dalton gets in a car accident.
Right.
And he's with his wife and all 3 of his kids. And they're driving home from the school pickup and they get in an accident. And it's like, they're banged up, but nothing like too bad. Like they weren't like airlifted to the hospital or anything, but it was like bad enough that he didn't play that week. Right. So Young, they were like, what else are we going to do? I guess we got to start Bryce Young, this guy whose confidence we just murdered. So the only reason he gets his job back is this bizarre, fender bender with Andy Dalton leaving his kid's school. And now he's going to have the job the rest of the way. Why, you
I
think it
see
was
what you're
Bryce Young?
saying. You think Bryce Young should be brought in for questioning? Interesting. I hadn't even considered that. Wow. That's
You
good.
said it. I didn't. No, it was just I can't remember a weirder just saga than this.
It is
And he
strange,
don't
but
has it, gets an offender bender, like he's like us driving our, like you picking up Harrison.
yeah.
And now he just doesn't have his job anymore. That like not since Tyrod Taylor getting stabbed by the team doctor has there been a weirder way for a guy to lose the job.
That franchise, we should pay more attention between that owner and everything else that goes on with that franchise. They're right up there. They're not
Yeah.
like Clippers. They're not Donald Sterling Clippers yet, but
No.
they get there.
We'll take one more break for the podcast. Staying on the YouTubes, couple more games I wanted to hit. Titans, Texans. Titans beat the Texans. Texans have I think, locked down the Shakey's game now. I don't think there's any stopping them. It's a wrap now. They're 7-5. Everybody in the AFC wants to play them in round one. They're really singularly unimpressive. Will Levis, who even when he's playing well, still has to throw a pick six to the other team. Like he can't help himself and fumble and and somehow Tennessee wins anyway. You guys talked about this game a lot in the Sunday pregame.
We all had them.
It had a whiff to it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, there's always one AFC South game where you're like, no, the first place team has to beat the fourth place team, and it doesn't hold true. Secondly, the Titans, like, even though they had no business winning this, their defense is really good.
Yeah.
Like by every metric, they're either first, second, or third in passing, red zone. Take a look at rushing. They held the Texans to 260 yards and 40 yards rushing. I don't know what's what with CJ Stroud. I hope that he hasn't been figured out because everyone's like, oh, there's enough tape on him. I'm like, no, I don't want to hear that. But 3 touchdowns, 5 interceptions in the last 5 games. It'll be enough to win the AFC South. But my God, you're right. This is definitely the team you want to play.
Doesn't ever look like he has a ton of time.
Yeah.
When you watch, it always seems like he's backpedaling or he's under duress and just
Titans bring it though. Yeah. He
with
wasn't
all
under
that
duress
said
against my Cowboys. Yeah.
They missed a 28-yard field goal to tie the game.
Right.
And then they did have the ball back near the end and he pulled an Orlovsky and they ended up getting a safety. So
that was nuts.
They hung around. They give up an 80-yard touchdown to the fucking tight end. When does that ever happen? It was a weird one, but a classic AFC South game. Then Broncos Raiders. Vegas now has 7 straight losses. And Bobby Bacala, Antonio Pierce, was playing with his trains on the sidelines again as his team was trying to cover and somehow didn't. Broncos plus or minus 5.5. Raiders, guy gets tackled on the 1-yard line with like 12 seconds left. They somehow don't score.
First and goal, 20 seconds left. What's the odds of the Raiders covering, do you think? They need to score. First and goal, 20 seconds left. No timeout. So they're going to pass and maybe run.
You get a QB sneak, you're probably getting it. But the funnier thing was that they're just running like a non 2-minute drill down 10 where everyone else usually kicks the field goal when it gets to like the 30. So you have more time. Right. They're taking their time, going down, trying to make plays. It honestly looked like he was just trying to cover. He had given up on winning the game.
The coach was, but Desmond Ritter's like, you know what? I'm not doing this. I'm not for the moral victories. I'll throw the fade out of the end zone, and then I'm going to get sacked, and that'll be that. I'm not even going to rush to the odds, rush to the line.
So they're 3 quarterbacks: Minshew, O'Connell, and the Riddler, Desmond Ridder. The big 3. 11 touchdowns, 11 picks. Could we have a quarterback core have more picks than touchdowns this season?
Oh, that'll be fun.
That's like what we grew up with.
Yeah.
We're like Richard Todd would have 16 touchdowns and 27 interceptions.
Yeah, that's right. Can I read you an unbelievable stat?
Yeah.
The Raiders have lost 8 straight to rookie quarterbacks. So they are
That's an actual stat?
That's a stat. Yeah. It was from ESPN. So they're like the enhancement talent. They're like the SD Jones now. Like if you want to make Bo Nix look good, if you want to make Bo Nickel look good, like in the UFC, you'll put him up against like what would be the Raiders of the UFC.
I think they're more Frankie Williams.
Frankie Williams got his ass kicked on Piper's Pit.
Piper really destroyed
top
that guy.
3 moment of me growing up, sadly.
So Vegas has lost 7 straight. Pretty much guaranteed a top 3. This was in the ESPN the summary of the game. It said what we learned about the QB today. This is an actual paragraph. While Gardner Minshew threw a game-turning third quarter interception, parentheses, his 10th, and Aiden O'Connell, a broken right thumb, is now eligible to come off IR. A short week means Minshew probably still starts at Kansas City, unless his left shoulder injury is worse than expected. Desmond Ridder, anyone? Question mark. He was strip sacked upon entering the game, denying the Raiders their best attempt to tie the game. This is a fucking shit show. It's one thing to have bad quarterbacks. Why can't these guys sign Daniel Jones? Well, I guess they don't want to. They want to be bad, right?
That write-up is it's like a game changer for Little League. Like tries to be nice when they're like, yeah, they made 7 errors, but a mighty comeback, and they only ended up losing.
But Bobby had a couple strong swings.
He picked his nose, he ate some boogers, but then botched it in the bottom of the 7th. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, of course they want to lose, but they have so much to do. This I don't know I don't think they'll ever be good. Why do I always bet them? Like, why the fuck? Why am I still on this team all the time?
You had them to make the playoffs or just over?
To make the playoffs. I'm an idiot. That was my big swing and miss. I have like 10 swings and misses. Yeah.
Kyle, turn the TikTok camera. So Vegas is going to have a top 3 pick.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume their coach, Bobby Bacala, is not going to, he's going to go back to being Uncle Junior's driver after this season. They're going to need a coach. They need a quarterback. This has Shadur Sanders and Deion Sanders written all over it. All over it. And by the way, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
The Vegas Raiders with Deion and his son, like I'm in. That would be great. The merch would be the #1 merch. The Sanders, like Hard Knocks, 10-year contract. Like, let's go. What are we waiting for?
I'm with you. Mark Davis is nothing like, people are saying Shador and Deion go to Dallas. Not going to happen because Mark Davis is nothing like Jerry. First of all, his hair is beautiful. It really is impeccable. Secondly, he doesn't care who gets the spotlight. He just wants to be Raiders. That is the perfect move for them. Shador and Deion. Do it.
People like Shador too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They talk about tough. He's athletic and like he's a leader, brings a bunch of stuff to the table. Broncos 7-5. Sean Payton fist pumps at the end of the game. They have Cleveland next week, bye week, Indy, at the Chargers, at Cincy, and then week 18 home KC in a game where I assume KC will have the 1 seed locked up, and who's their backup quarterback this year?
The Chiefs. Is it
whoever it is? He's playing in week 18.
Yeah. Why can't I think?
Denver looks like a 10-win team. It's amazing. We talked about this in the over-under pod before the year, and it was, they had a lot of the makings of a possible like sneaky 7 seed, but the defense looked so bad on paper it didn't make sense. But
Carson Wentz, by the way, for the Chiefs. But I'm with you.
The Red Rocket.
Yeah, so he'll get one more shot at gold. But I don't what do you think what their odds are to make the playoffs? I was looking at this before we hopped on. Denver.
Probably like -130.
Oh, wow, you're good. It's -154. I thought it would be much higher. Like, aren't they going to be, to me, like they're good. They're decent. They can move the ball. They play defense.
Well coached.
As far as like they're well coached. They're not going to embarrass you on national television, right? They have a Monday night game coming up. It's like the networks are happy to have them. Yeah. I think this is a good team. They're not going to get to 10. I have to reorder my. I'm not sure like who's going to beat them out at this point. Not the Colts.
And I feel like I've watched a lot of Broncos because we get these late games on the West Coast and there's only like 3 or 4 games. So I feel like I've seen like a lot of their games. And first of all, Nick's has gotten, he's just night and day from that Jets game when he threw for 60 yards. It's like a different human being, but he's kind of a badass. Like he talks shit. They had that, they ran a replay today and he's just screaming at the defensive lineman of the other team. Now, granted, he's like a 30-year-old rookie. He's like Scott Bakula, necessary roughness, but he's the way he carries himself. He doesn't carry himself like a rookie. He's gotten better week to week. I think he has real chemistry with Cortland Sutton, which you mentioned earlier. And I don't know, I could see them in the playoffs, and I wouldn't, if they're in the playoffs, I wouldn't be like, oh, I can't wait to bet against Denver. Like, I think they're pretty frisky.
Well, this is a question. If you put the Chargers in, right? You're gonna put who else? You're gonna put in? You're gonna put the Steelers in
It's
or the
Chargers,
Ravens.
Ravens, or Steelers, and
So
then
it's the Bengals.
Broncos.
They have to beat out the Bengals, but the Bengals are like plus 350. They play the Bengals, so
No,
that's going to
there's
be an
another
interesting.
team,
Who else?
the
Don't say the
Dolphins.
Colts. Yeah. I think they go away this week, but we'll see.
If they, I agree because it's cold weather, but if they can somehow pull off this Green Bay game,
Yeah.
it gets pretty fun for them because they'd have the Jets at home, which is suddenly a way easier
Mhm.
game than it looked like. When we had this written down before the season, when we were talking about their over under, this looked like a death stretch
Right.
where when at Green Bay, home Jets, at Houston, home San Francisco, at Cleveland, at the Jets. It was like, oh my God, it's
Mhm.
brutal. Now it's like both of those Jets games, San Francisco, at Cleveland, none of those games are hard except this Green Bay game.
Right.
So, all they have to do is get to 10-7.
I mean, much like the Vikings, like I still don't know how they're not doing this with their best player. Like Jefferson hasn't been lighting it up, and neither has Tyreek Hill. I mean, you
No.
got this Jonnu Smith, who's they should just trade paychecks at this point. Like, or maybe Tyreek Hill needs to get arrested every week because he doesn't show up for these games. And I don't know. I think they'll be stuck at 8 or 9 wins, but I like this Denver team.
We'll see. If they lose this Green Bay game, it's going to be a lot. They'll basically have to sweep the rest of the way, I think,
Right.
because they would be 5-7 at that point. The good news for them is in the pregame show for NBC today, Jason Garrett was raving about Tua, who was really good today,
Mhm.
and compared him to Magic Johnson,
Right.
the way he was spreading the ball around. And at that point, I don't know if NBC has this person on staff, but there probably should be like one of those giant things that cops use to tase suspects. That's where
Mhm.
somebody should just run on the set and just tase Garrett.
Yeah. Well, but in
And
his
he would still
defense,
be smiling if he was electrocuted by a
oh,
taser.
the
He'd be like,
freaking smile.
that was great. Ah.
Yeah, he's in his defense, he's an idiot. I think that's all you can really
You're right. I
say
forgot.
because there's that. I mean, there are like 4 taser moments for Jason Garrett, and like when they're going over the highlights and Baker Mayfield's making fun of Tommy DeVito and doing the hand thing, and Jason Garrett's like, "How about a little helping a gabagool?" And then he's laughing like a schoolgirl, and I'm like, not that I'm offended because he made an Italian reference. I'm offended that he's the worst head coach of our generation and he's talking at me through my television set. That's why I can't stand it.
Or I
Go
thought you'd
away,
be
Jason
offended that
Garrett.
he said gabagool correctly and I didn't when I was
Well,
half Italian.
yeah, I know. I like
Yeah,
you and you are half Italian.
that's
So
right.
that's a difference.
Well, Miami looked good today, but they were playing the Patriots. I thought the Patriots were a live dog today, that the game would be close and that they'd be able to move the ball up and down the field. And
Mhm.
nephew Kyle watched the game with me and can attest. I was about as locked in as I've been in a while in a Pats game.
Well, they did move the ball down the field, maybe not up and
it
down.
was
Yeah.
it was down the field the other direction. They had 9 first half penalties,
Right.
but the really special thing is 6 of the 9 were pre-snap, which
Right.
is basically like we don't practice.
Mm-hmm.
You have pre-snap, it's like that's what, like if you're a high school team and the 9th grade left tackle he keeps forgetting that it's on 2 instead of on 3. It's 6 pre-snap penalties. They got May got sacked 4 times, but was running for his life half the game. It 2 turnovers. One was May's fault. One wasn't. It got tipped. Mayo loses a challenge. Did you see this?
Yes. I know what you're going to say.
They throw to for the viewers. They throw to Waddle for 19 for a first
Mhm.
down. And there's also a pass interference on the play. So it's a first down either way for the Dolphins, but it looks like the ball hits the ground. Mayo says, fuck it, and challenges the catch to, I guess, save 14 yards.
Right.
And then they said, no, it was a catch. So we lost our challenge on a play that would have been a first down anyway for Dolphins. Like you see stuff every week with this team that you just never see before. We had the same left tackle had 3 pre-snap penalties in the first half.
This coach is really something else. Like I was like, you're exaggerating, but you saw his like comment in the post game presser. He said, "Oh, there's not much I could do once they cross the white line." It's like, oh my God, you're not supposed to say that. You definitely didn't say that in the interview. Like, well, of course they're supposed to, just like you said, they should be coached better, and then they wouldn't be having these pre-snap penalties. Like, well, there's not much. That's like you and I saying, well, why would we do a podcast? Let the players do the talking, and then we'll see what the records are at the end of the year. What the hell is he doing?
This team, it's so frustrating because I really think Drake's good. And they'll start every drive with run into the middle for one, or there'll be a false start. Now it's 1st and 15, or it's a run play where the guy gets tackled 4 yards behind. Like, I've never seen a team have more 2nd and 14, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 15, 2nd and 12. And just over and over again, they're behind the 8 ball. And then when they actually make a play, like they're driving, Drake throws a really nice play. Ramondre breaks a tackle. They get 20. Nope, that's coming back. Holding penalty. Just this team that he's saddled on with the worst coaches and the worst offensive line and wide receivers that can barely catch the ball. And like, part of me is wondering, like, are we even, I've now reverted back to, should we just sit him for the rest of the season so he doesn't get hurt? Because it's this bad. But then you watch him and he'll have these series like he did with the Rams last week where it's like he might win this game by himself. So I don't know what to think.
Well, you should think that you're going to bet them over 4.5 wins because you know they're going to surprise you a couple more times. They'll reel you in.
This game today was like so bad.
Picks. Yeah.
This game today, the on both sides, you know, it just shouldn't be like last week. They're just blitzing Stafford over and over again. It's like rule number 1, don't blitz Stafford. They're just like doing it the whole game.
Right.
Today, they just seemed completely blindsided by the disc jockey. Disc jockey was like, he was really spinning the tunes today. He was like, all right, yeah.
Miami Sound Machine. He got it going. Yeah, I don't know. Like, look, there's some coaches who like just pull some bullshit and then they get away with it. Like Sirianni.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like Barkley's so good. They're going to win regardless of his nonsense. Like that crazy, not to take it back to that game, but when he was
into the first half.
Yeah, no, when that whole thing with 3rd and 13 or 4th and 3.
Right. He sent them back to 3rd and 13.
It's like, no. It's like,
it worked.
No. You already said no. You can't come to Thanksgiving. Our table's full. You already RSVP'd. No.
Right.
Like, just what are you doing? But yeah, but he's going to survive that. This guy, Jared Mayo, can't. The talent's just not there.
See, I just don't think Kraft's going to pay for another coach. I think we're stuck with this guy next year. The thing I hate the most is he was such a tough player. Yeah, he was a middle linebacker. He was just a badass. And then as a coach, I tweeted today, I was joking that his book would be called Scared Football. He's just scared the whole game. Yeah. It's like, oh, it's 4th and 1. We better punt. You know, and even if they're going to like go for it on a play, it's the most predictable play ever. When they run some sort of trick play, it's the worst trick play you've ever seen. It looks like they don't practice. Yeah. And I think it's going to be, I said this a few weeks ago and I'm going to predict it again. I think it's going to be a really hard week for him in Boston because they were so poorly prepared and coached in the game today. I don't know how that's not the preeminent talking point of the week.
These guys, just because they're good at something doesn't mean, right? Like, look at Jason Garrett, horrible coach. And then he goes on and is even a worse pregame commentator. So how do you even, how could you even tell what's going to be?
Well, the problem is if they're not going to fire him this year and then it's not going to really get better next year. Maybe they could change the offensive coordinator. Like, let's say they get Dayball. Let's say they sign T. Higgins. They just do those two things. Dayball's the OC. T. Higgins is the wide receiver 1. They get a left tackle in the draft. Like, they're just noticeably better in a couple ways. It's still not going to stop how unprepared the team looks. That's what you can't blame the players on that when you could just have guys jumping off sides left and right. They had one play, I think it was Hooper or Henry, one of the tight ends. They had 2 penalties on the same play. So the Dolphins were like, oh, we get to choose. But one of them was the tight end he was just a foot, like his whole foot was over the line of scrimmage. He was basically like where the Dolphins were. It's like, how are you lined up this way? You guys are professional football players. Miami didn't have a penalty for 2 hours.
I think really you're wrong. Well, I don't know if you're wrong because there's no way there's no precedent to tell if Kraft will fire a coach because you had an unfireable coach for so long, right? But I don't think he's going to be like Jerry Jones, where he's just going to take shots every week and everyone's going to be like, what is wrong with this guy? And he's just going to sit there and take it. He's used to winning. So he'll make a change.
Vrabel was a really good coach who had real ties to the Pats, and everybody
Yeah,
always thought he would follow Belichick, and he's sitting there right now. And I think the fear is you don't get Vrabel, you do another year with Mayo, it's just as bad next year, and now Vrabel will get one of his other jobs. There's like going to be 8 jobs open. He'll get one of
right.
them, and
Yeah,
then
for
you've
sure.
missed out on this Vrabel chance. The only other thing I had before we get to guess the lines is Bucks Giants. When you mentioned Tampa trying to steal the NFC South, here's the thing against it. Atlanta beat Tampa twice
Falcons.
already, and
Yeah,
they have a 1-game lead.
I don't
So
love
they're
it.
basically 2 ahead of Tampa. Think
Right.
about it. So,
But look at that. Can't they go 5-1?
you want
Look
me to
at
do the
that.
schedule?
Do it.
Tampa's
Just do it.
at Carolina, home Vegas, at the Chargers, at Dallas, home Carolina, home New Orleans. So
Yeah.
that could be,
Come
they
on.
could get to 10 wins.
4-2. I know everybody slips up, but with this offense getting healthy, I think that's 4-2 or 5-1.
Do I have to worry about my NFC South bet? The division
Well,
has 18 wins with 6 weeks left.
but did you figure out how many automatic wins there are? Like how many division
Well, there's a
games are
couple
there
where they
still?
play each other,
Yeah.
but we have that. We had 2 because in the we one of the ones we did was the NFC East against the NFC South.
Mm-hmm.
The NFC East has a 3-game lead over them, but the Giants probably aren't winning again,
Right.
and they play a couple of NFC South teams. I don't
3 weeks ago, it was looking great. It didn't look like the Saints or the Panthers would win another game.
Yeah.
And the 2 receivers went down for Tampa. Now you're gonna have to do a little work, I think.
Let's take a break for the pod. We'll keep going on the YouTube. Week 13, guess the lines. I got sad today because once it's Thanksgiving, it's like almost the end of the regular season and the playoffs, and
Yeah.
we're what are we 60% done with the season now?
What is
Yeah,
so this is
12
13
weeks,
at 12 out of
12 out of
18.
20. Yeah,
Oh,
or I
oh,
guess
out of
12 out of
22.
21. Yeah, we're like
Yeah.
58% done with the season.
Well, I know it gets both ways, right? I like sort of went, well, first of all, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday, but then, because it's just football and food. But I also you and I will be able to memorize most of the team's remainder of their schedule, right? And then, but that's also very sad because that only means there's a
Yeah,
few left. Yeah.
I think
We're
saying
losers.
Thanksgiving's your favorite holiday
Yeah.
is not a controversial opinion.
You don't think
Is
I'm going to get
Thanksgiving your
pushback?
favorite day? I think is a better conversation. So your single favorite day.
Yeah. I can't think of what will, yeah, nothing compares except
I
when
think
the
it's my
Cowboys are
favorite day
lousy.
too.
Yeah.
It's
You
great.
don't have to worry about your team losing though, right? You just got bets and food. That's
Well,
fun.
you have Cowboys Giants is our second game. It's only the 4th time in the since the merger that these 2 teams have played on Thanksgiving where they both have losing records.
I believe it.
So
I
choke
believe
on
it.
your turkey during that stat.
Oh,
Uh
I'm setting my alarm for a nap for that game. That's for sure.
what's our guess the lines record? 7-4? 7 4
Yeah,
and
I think
1.
you're better than that. Yeah, 7-4-1. You
All
beat
right,
me
you're still
last
in
week.
it.
Go over how I can make the playoffs at 4-7-1. I want to hear it. Jerk.
Sign Daniel Jones to help you with your picks. Thanksgiving. Lions
Daniel
Bears.
Jones is my son. Go ahead.
Lions Bears in Detroit. And I think here's my thinking on this. I think they had to jack this up so that you couldn't tease the Lions with anyone else. So even though this is probably should be Lions 7.5, I think because it's Thanksgiving and everybody loves turkey and throwing somebody in OTs on Thanksgiving, I think it has to be Lions by 9.
Okay, good. I get this. I said 10. They're not screwing around with the Lions. It's 10.5.
That's too high.
Well, hear me out. Not that I have to convince you the Lions are going to win this game, but I feel
You
like
don't.
this is the season where they get the monkey off their back in many ways. Like Dan Campbell beat the crap out of the Cowboys for all that nonsense that went down last year in the regular season, right?
Yeah.
The 49ers are gone, so they don't even have to worry about them and what happened in the NFC Championship. They do have that whole, oh my God, we were embarrassed on Thanksgiving last year by the Packers. I think they're going to be up for this. I don't think that happens again.
I saw a great Dan Campbell post game speech as
They're
I've
all
been
great.
pushing. I don't know why this isn't just a Twitter feed of all the post game speeches in all the locker rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all it is. It's just game ball
Right.
speeches. he gave game balls to like 4 people and then was talking about how they were road warriors. Did you see this?
Yep. Really good.
He was like, when I got here, we had 11-1 in all of our road games. And since then, we're 16-5. And all you guys in this locker room had something to do with that. He's great. He gives a great post game. Probably number one post game speaker right now.
Wouldn't you rather see the feed of the losing coaches give their speeches?
Like Mayo?
Yeah. How great would that be?
Mayo, like, hey, 6 pre-snap penalties in the first half. We got to work on that, guys.
Me. Oh, that's on you. That's on you guys. No,
it's
nothing's
on you.
Yeah.
So guys, when we're snapping the ball, it's like either it's on 1 or it's on 2 or it's on 3. And you just kind of remember when you get in, when you line up,
right.
It's gonna be 2 this time. And then you move when it's 2.
It's just all numbers. We'll take off till Wednesday. We'll figure it out.
Unbelievable. We're gonna have him for another year. Cowboys, Giants in Dallas. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I think it's Cowboys by 7.
Oh wow! I said 3.5. I said 3.5. It's 4.5.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Yeah. FanDuel Vegas doesn't like Dallas this year.
They just put that in the Vegas zone, huh? Well, I don't know if you read anything about the Giants game today, but apparently the Giants were like disconsolate after the game. Like they were all saying after they waived Daniel Jones, like the guy's our best quarterback. Why are we waiving him? And then they're not even playing the second best quarterback. They're playing the third best quarterback. This is why you're not supposed to tank in the NFL, because it's this violent sport,
right?
That guys have to commit to at a certain physicality level. And when you have your franchise basically like, yeah, we're done. How do you expect the team to respond to that? The coach is on his way out. The GM's on his way out. The quarterback's not going to be there. Like, I don't understand. Like, why would the Giants beat Dallas in Dallas?
I think we should just go with division game. Underdog is always a spot to win here. I really have no idea. I don't know. Tommy DeVito. I just, but it was like neighbors going off on Dable. It was like, ask Dable why I didn't get a reception until or a target until the third quarter or whatever it was. But yeah, they're a mess. But, Daniel Jones is probably like, I see this guy get sacked. I'm glad it's not me. Just get me on a playoff team as a backup.
There's one silver lining to this game, which is one of the worst quarterback matchups we've ever had on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Although Cooper Rush wasn't bad today. Tom Brady announced in this game.
Oh, wow. That's right.
Could this be the Tom Brady heel turn game? Could this be his Walter White Breaking Bad getting pushed over the edge, shaving his head performance, where the quarterback play is so bad and he's so mad that he's working on Thanksgiving, he finally becomes Tom Brady, TV analyst, and he's just ripping guys.
Yeah.
And actually telling us like what they're doing wrong. Could it happen?
Starts beating the shit out of an intern with a turkey leg that's put propped up on the set.
I'll show you jiu-jitsu.
Do it, Tom. What does he have to lose?
Yeah. Break bad, Tom.
It's all right.
Shave your head. Packers Dolphins is our third game. It's a great game. It's in Green Bay. And it's going to be freezing cold. And you're going to see over the next 4 days a lot of stats about how bad the Dolphins are when it's super cold, how bad Tua is when it's super cold. And I can't wait to bet on the Packers in this game, Sal. It's just spoiler alert. I'm going to say Packers by 4.
Yeah, that's what I said. It is 3.5. We split that.
Man.
All right. So what's the tease? You're doing a money line parlay. Is it just Lions, Packers, and you'll pay a little juice?
Now, should we do this for FanDuel? I'll tweet this out. I like FanDuel. So we could do.
You can make it simple. I mean, forget
Packers money line with.
It's minus 120
with Detroit money line.
That's minus 120. Oh,
that seems so easy. That's all we have to do. Packers.
You'll win that first one by 9:50 a.m. and then you take a nap. And then you take some gummies and you take a nap, Bill, and you miss that giant Cowboy game, and you come back and watch Lambeau, and they're gonna win.
I'm all in on that tease. I feel like we have to grab that right now. I know I
Let's
always
not
say that,
overthink
but
it.
that minus 120 is not going to be there much longer.
Yeah, let's not screw it over unders anything. That's it.
And then Thanksgiving, so you get Packers Dolphins. And
Mhm.
then when it hits midnight on the East Coast, you get to watch my Yacht Rock documentary.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
it's great. You'll love it. There's
Of
no way
course,
you
I'm
won't
gonna
love
love
it.
it. Oh, come on, kidding me?
Sunday marquee.
Well, hold on. Are you gonna do Friday? Oh, you
Which
didn't
one's
know
the
there was a
Friday game?
Friday game.
Which one
Raiders
is it?
Chiefs. Raiders
Uh,
Chiefs.
I
And we
just
can't
put
start
that. I
over
put
because
that in
we're
the fairly
live.
watchables. No, I'm not going to change my guess.
All right.
I forgot about the Black Friday game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because they sent me a T-shirt of the studio crew with my face in the middle of it. I should have worn it.
Really? And that's
Yeah,
what you turn. You.
it looks like I'm in the crew. It looks like I'm ready to have an argument with Sherman.
I love it.
All right, so Kansas City home for the Raiders.
Mm-hmm. And it's probably going to be Ritter, right? Because well, you read that blurb to us. It seemed like it was
Could
going to
be,
be Ritter.
might be Minshew.
It's inspiring.
I have the Chiefs by 11.5.
That's what. Oh, you get it. I had 11. It's 13 and a half.
Oh boy.
Now listen, if you want to wait just
That's
a
too
few
high.
hours more and do Lions, Packers, Chiefs, that gets you in the plus 103.
Yeah, but that's another Milton Berle situation for the Chiefs. It's Black Friday. I don't
Oh, they
trust
can't.
them.
They're not losing. They lost to them on Christmas. They
But
can't
even if
keep
you do a
losing to the
10 point,
Raiders.
oh, so you can do a
No,
13
just money
point
line.
tease.
Just do the money line. Just Lions money line, Packers money line, Chiefs money line.
What does
Plus
that get us
103.
to?
Plus 103.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Oh, there's so much
Don't the
college.
Chiefs, aren't the Chiefs going to fuck us one of these next 4 weeks with like they did that time with the Raiders a year ago?
Yeah, but
Where
it's
Mahomes
the
has a
Raiders.
game, he fumbles, he throws a pick six, he gets hurt, he comes back in. Like they haven't had that game yet.
They hate this team though, right? With the cigars and
Yeah, they
everything
do.
else.
The Raiders talk
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Sunday's marquee game is the Ravens and the Eagles in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wonderful sporting event. The Ravens, for all we know, could be 7-5 heading into this game
Right.
and sweating out a playoff spot. I personally think they're going to win tomorrow. I don't know. Where do you stand on that Chargers game?
I do too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have them. I money line them, so that's probably gonna be bad for them. Well, Big Brother wins, right? Big Brother always wins.
Ravens, I have -3 against the Eagles.
It is. You got it exactly. I said 2.5.
Mm,
Now we're tied.
okay. It's a good game.
That's it. Barkley Henry, Offensive Player of the Year.
This is it. Trades of the year.
Mhm.
Watchables, 3 of them. Bengals, Steelers in Cincinnati. Bengals now in we have to win every game territory. Steelers. So I was at the we did a premiere for the Yacht Rock doc on Thursday night. So I had the Steelers game on my phone.
Beautiful.
And I couldn't watch it during thing. And I also really wanted to watch thing, but I glanced at it a couple times and it was 18-6.
So pretty.
And I didn't look for 10, 12 minutes. Look back down. It was 19-18 Steelers. It's like, oh, look back again. It was 24-19 final. And I was like, I can't wait to find out what happened in this game. That game was just fully bonkers. But
it's a fun Jameis game. I feel like Jameis might be the quarterback who doesn't have a chance that I root for the most. It's just so, I mean, it was like 0 for 9 and third down and 4 for 4 with fourth downs. It's just, it was perfect for him. And it looked great. And NFL Films did the thing and him running in slow motion. I'm like, oh, this is why I love football. I don't even care.
Couldn't believe of all the shitty Thursday night games we have to watch, that game, you know how much I love. I know everyone loves snow, but I really love snow. I'm a 10 out of 10 for loving snow. And I love seeing it on the TV and the flakes sticking to Tomlin's beard. I can't, of all the games, why did it have to be the game when I was at a documentary premiere? I was so bummed out.
I'm a 10 out of 10 for loving snow. Sounds like something you'd hear on Yacht Rock. So that's perfect.
I think that was the song. I think Stephen Bishop wrote that one.
Yeah, was that Bishop?
Yeah.
Was that, this is Steely Dan? I don't know.
I'm a 10 out of 10 for loving snow.
Stupid.
I have Bengals by 1.5 against Steelers.
I get this. I said 2. It is 2.5.
So when was the last time a 4-7 team was favored by 2.5 against an 8-3 team that did not have any injuries?
Probably a
Pretty rare.
long time ago.
Yeah,
They're
pretty
just
rare.
they are they going to outslug the Bengals though? That's it, because Burrow's dialed in, right? So even the Steelers defense, as much trouble as they give them, should score like 26, 27 points. I think it's enough, and everything's a must win now for Cincy. That's why
I think the Steelers are good. And I
yeah.
think they played a Thursday night game right 4 days after this emotional win over Baltimore. It snowed like a motherfucker. It was a stupid game that had a lot of dumb momentum twists, and I think you throw it out.
He
I don't
also
think it
got
means
outcoached
anything.
a little bit, and he's
He
allowed
did.
to, right? You can get outcoached once a year, and that
He
was
got
that game.
outcoached.
Yeah,
He got
it's always
outcoached.
a tough division battle.
Falcons, Chargers. It's in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not betting on this game.
I
If I
hit it
do, I'd
exactly.
probably be the Chargers in the tees. But I'm going to say Falcons by 1.5.
Oh, that's why you did it. Well, you're right and you're wrong. I said Chargers by 1.5, and it is Chargers by 1.5. But the 1.5s always flip. They always flip by
It's
Thursday.
Chargers by 1.5.
Chargers are favored, but
oh my God.
If we talk Thursday, it'll be Falcons, and then it might flip again. I mean, that's what happened with Arizona and Seattle. It's happened with so many of these. Jets, Texans, same thing.
So you think there's a 1.5 conspiracy?
There is. It's the tic tac terrorists out there moving these lines.
It's like how it's the black eye conspiracy with celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
When celebrities only have black eyes on their left eye, some sort of
Right.
Illuminati thing.
Exactly.
So Leno fell down the hill and it's like left eye was black. Shit's going on.
Yep.
I don't know how they come up with this stuff.
That's true. It's
Watch
all
this.
true.
I'm gonna have a black eye in my left eye in 2 days. It's like, we'll show you. It did. There was a Reddit person who broke down that Leno thing really well.
But he ended up, he almost definitely is telling the truth, right?
Yeah, it seems like he's telling the truth. He was
Yeah,
playing.
that sucks.
He's playing at some weird club in
Mhm.
Germantown, Pennsylvania. There was the hotel. Everyone's like, why is he staying at that hotel? He's a billionaire. But it's like, it was the nearest hotel to where that gig was.
He's also
It would've been-
cheap. He's also very cheap.
and he's also super cheap. He spends all his money on cars.
Mhm.
He was trying to walk to some restaurant that he tried to cut and walk down a hill to cut the distance so he didn't have to go around. And he's 74. And it's the kind of thing like our dads would have done.
Right.
You'd have been like, what? I'd be like, Sal, what happened to your dad? It's like, he fell.
Right.
Like, it's just kind of what happens when you're mid 70s. So I think it adds up, but I still like the conspiracy
think so,
stuff. I
too.
enjoyed all of it.
Either way, the irony is great that he didn't have a car. Guy's got like 75 funny cars and hangars all over all over California.
Well, the more
never
confusing
car.
thing to me is he made, I mean, he was making 30 million a year in the Tonight Show for 20 years.
Yeah.
And when he was doing stand-up gigs and making crazy money on those, why does he have to go to like the middle of somewhere in Pennsylvania to do stand-up?
Yeah. And he's indignant when they ask him about it. Like, well, why don't you just cancel the show? Like, the show must go on. It's like, all right, you're 103. You could sit one out.
I'm at the Red Roof Inn on Big Bear Mountain on November 29th. It's like, what? It's a place 74. Why didn't you retire? Go sit on a beach.
Right.
Vikings are home for the Cardinals.
It's a good one.
I'll never trust Kyler Murray again until about 3 weeks from now. I have Vikings -3 against Cardinals.
I had you out here. I had 3.5, and that's what it is.
That's too high. That'll be 3.
Well, you're going to throw that. You're going to throw Kyler in a teaser?
No, I'm not going near this game.
All right.
Fairly watchables. Colts at the Pats. I just think the Richardson May makes this a fairly watchable and not a poop fecta.
Sure.
Colts are going to be favored. And I think it's Colts by 1.5.
I had 2. I think it's 2.5 now.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It's going to be a loss. I don't think the Pats are getting to 5 wins. I think I'm going to win that bet.
Well, when did you make that bet?
Before the year. That was like my lock of the year. Was I had the Pats under 4.5 wins.
You
With
could
a whole
do it
bunch of stuff.
again.
But I didn't know Drake May was going to be. I wouldn't have made that bet if I knew Drake was going to be good. like
Well,
in year one.
you could sell it if you want because it's still 4.5. The under
Is
is
that what it
minus
is on
144.
FanDuel?
It's still 4.5. Yep.
What's Carolina? Just out of curiosity. Oh, that's
I
four and
think
a half
some of
too.
some of these, there's like Cleveland, I think, is also 4.5.
Your team's 6.5.
I know you have them winning 10. Jerk.
I said 9. Denver is 9.5 now. Jesus. What's Miami? Wow, Miami's only 7.5. They're 5 and
Yeah.
6. That doesn't
The
add
over's
up.
minus 200 though, right? Yeah. It's a big juice.
What's
on the
Miami?
over.
Miami to make the playoffs is plus 240.
Yeah, I don't
Damn.
like it. You might as well just bet them against Green Bay and then just keep rolling it in some of these important games.
Washington to make the playoffs is oh, that's Tampa. Tampa's plus 114. Washington's minus 188. Okay. Seahawks are at the Jets. Seahawks are going to be favored in this game. I don't know if there's a lot of weeks left to win real money against the Jets before the line shift. This feels like the last week. The Seahawks defense has looked legitimately good the last 2 weeks. Seahawks by 1.5 is going to be my pick.
You got it. That was smart. I said 2, and this is another one that's going to flip unless there's a quarterback change. Although I don't even know what would have to move. Does the line move if Rodgers is out? Jets favored by 3.
With Tyrod Taylor, I don't think the line moves. Rodgers has been awful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, this is
Tyrod
gonna
Taylor,
stay.
does the Jets Seahawks line move with Tyrod Taylor? Like San Francisco moved 3.5 points today when Purdy went out. I think it stays the same.
I don't
What
think
would
it
be
moves.
crazy is if it moved the other way and the Jets were favored with Tyrod.
Right. What's he going to do? Not throw downfield? It's fine. And so it's exactly what can he bring his friends in, Tyrod Taylor? Okay, we have a whole new receiving core. These are my buddies. I grew up with them.
Rodgers dresses up like the Chargers team doctor and tries to stab Tyrod with a needle.
Yeah, well, he's a medical expert. Yeah.
Washington is home for the Titans. So this was, I guess the line's before the day, and I had Washington by 7. I'm going to knock that down to 6. Washington by 6.
Yeah, you get this. I said 7.5, only because I don't know why, but it's 5.5.
Well, it looked like Eckler got knocked out at the end of the game.
Right.
So he won't play. He's had a few concussions before. So just Brian Robinson, who was hurt during the game today. And they have that McNichols guy, but I think they're going to have trouble running the ball. And then Daniel still doesn't look healthy. We're going to find out after the year that he has like 3 cracked ribs, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm just looking at it as a must win. And Tennessee, it's also a must loss for them after winning this today.
Right.
I mean, how are they going to pull this off?
Rams at the Saints. And after what we saw from the Rams today, I think they're going to be favored, but I don't think it's going to be by much. I'm going to say Rams by 1.5 at the Saints.
Rams by, I said 2, and it's 2.5.
A lot of momentum for the clogger. I don't know if you've been following this.
Yeah. Why
People
not?
like the clogger. The teams responded.
What is
He's
the
clogging
clogger?
up that team with wins.
Oh my God. What is his bye week like, the clogger, when
Oh
he
my
doesn't have to
God.
watch what he eats?
A lot of salad. A lot of salad and hot water. Poop Fecta. Speaking of the clogger, we got 2. We got Texans at Jacksonville. And I can't believe Doug Peterson's still the coach. It seemed
Yeah, you're right.
impossible after the 52-6 game. What was that, a week ago?
He survived the bye. I didn't even realize that. Yeah. They must have been busy. The ownership must have been vacationing or something.
I have Texans by 3.5 at Jacksonville.
No, I had 4.5. It's 5.5. We're both
I like
low
Jacksonville.
There. You do?
Yeah.
Oh, because of your guy?
No, I don't think Houston's very good. And I have future bets on them. I was all in on them. I've been waiting for it to turn around, but I don't think they can block. From what I'm watching week to week, doesn't seem like they can block, and their defense seems like when you really need to drive the ball down the field on them, you can.
It's probably a stay away. What I don't want for this last, 7 weeks of the season, whatever, is for the South divisions to rip my guts out. Right. So if we're on the wrong side of too many of these,
it's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
Great way to think about it. And here's another one: Bucks at Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
So I have Bucks by 4.5 in Carolina, and I like Carolina.
No, I had 6 at 6.5. Oh, I'm
Mm.
gonna win this week. Love it.
No, come on.
It's like 10-5 or something.
Oh, I guess you are going to win.
You wait, who did you say? You like Carolina? No.
I'm going to give you Carolina's last couple weeks. Week 9, they beat the Saints by 1.
Mhm.
Week 10, they beat the Giants by 3. Week 12, tied with KC with a minute left. And they had a bye week in there too. They haven't really had a bad game since week 7. They got killed by Washington. But even the Denver game, the 14-28 loss,
Yeah.
it wasn't like they didn't get demolished. So they're at least they're getting better, unlike my team.
No, that's respectable. I mean, I have the Bucks. You should also have the Bucks to win the division. We had an agreement, but so I have to lean heavy into this one.
But instead of doing that, I could just bet against Atlanta this week, right?
Right.
Because that
Right.
Tampa, for them to win division, Atlanta would have to win.
That's true.
Sunday night, Bills 49ers, a game that I'm sure they were thinking was going to be one of the best games of the year.
Yeah.
3 months ago. Oh, Al, I'm thinking about how great this game seemed to knock August. Now, I just want to do a shot of whiskey or something, Al.
I don't have a goddamn good thing to say about Brandon Allen. Can we just fast forward to next week?
I'll get excited about George Kittle if you want me to, Al, but um,
Uh,
I think this goes over 7. I think this is Bills by 7.5.
I said 7 and it's 6.5.
Ah, just like a point off with all these.
Well, is this the Kyle Shanahan? We're gonna F everybody up, everybody trying to get their money back from the Thursday night and Thanksgiving weekend. Is this the one?
So Purdy's probably playing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
That's about all we got. If you're making the case for the Niners, it's backs to the wall. If they lose this game, their season's over. They have a losing record in their division.
Mm-hmm.
You can't lose this game and have a realistic chance. I guess maybe you could sneak into the playoffs, as we made the case with your team, but
I think Purdy, is he definitely playing? Like they thought he was going to play this week too. So to say that they think he's going to be ready, I don't know. I guess this is their season though. He's got to do it.
Monday night, Broncos home for the Browns. This is really the Sal Bowl. Your guy Bo Nix against your guy Jameis.
So much fun.
It's really everything you want.
Do you want to guess because there's odds up for offensive rookie of the year?
I think Bo Nix has to be favored.
Then you should bet him. He's plus 125. Daniels,
What's Daniels?
minus 150. Minus 150.
Wow.
The
I
number
think
one
that's a
pick
pretty good bet.
is 50-1. Caleb Williams.
Jesus. I didn't think he was bad today.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. He
made
was,
some plays.
Yeah.
So I got
Let's do
Broncos
pretty good.
minus 3.5 against Cleveland.
All right, you're gonna get that. I said 3. It's 4.5, but too little, too late for you, Simmons.
All right, 7-5-1. You beat me on
Yep.
your favorite week of the year.
I love it. I love
Cowboys are alive.
it. That's got to stop. I mean, I don't know why that still gets me annoyed, but
Listen, are the Cowboys alive or are they not? They're alive.
no, we crossed them off. We have say.
But they're alive. What do you got for Parent Corner?
What do I have? A couple of things. Well, first of all, we again, favorite weekend of the year, favorite day. Got you're is always home already, right? Yeah. So now you get to see her for what, a week or more?
Yeah, it's like 8 days. She's been home since August 8th.
Yeah, right. Same here. My guy comes home Wednesday morning and he's leaving Friday. He's like, I'm going back because Oregon's playing Washington. I'm going to that game. And like my wife is like, oh, this is terrible. It's like,
How many times did she cry?
well, it hasn't happened yet, but I think it's about that. I think it's gonna be bad. But I was like, this is cats in the cradle, right? I would do the same thing. And my parents would get mad. And
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
But she didn't cry when Archie said he was only coming home for 2 days. That didn't elicit
I
tears.
wasn't. I think she had regrouped and composed herself because I found out hours later. But I think the tears will flow naturally when it actually happens. Like going off. But Yeah, so that's that. The other thing is I picked my son Jack up from wrestling practice,
Yeah.
and he's like extra dirty. And I was like, what
Oh
what the
no.
hell? Why do you smell? What's going on here? What'd you do? He's like, we had to clean garbage. So what do you mean you had to clean garbage? He's like, well, coach got mad because somebody went in the wrestling room and tried to lose extra weight and like was jumping rope, and they were unsupervised, and the principal found out, and nobody would fess up. This is like the fourth nobody will fess up thing that they had to like do. You know,
Yeah.
they had to do community service as a result, and so we all had to clean garbage for like over an hour, like an hour and a half after we ran. And I was like, all right, but can't the coach?
Yeah.
I've had bosses that do this, like and bosses and teachers and coaches that punish the whole group. But if you looked at it logically, like my kid is not going after hours to jump rope. He's just not, right? So
Yeah.
like, can we could excuse him. What are we doing here? Like if you were at work and like a beet salad was missing from the community refrigerator, and you're like, nope, we're unplugging the refrigerator for everyone. You could assume it's not me that took the beet salad.
Right.
I haven't seen a vegetable in like 7 years. So I don't know I don't know where you stand on that kind of messaging, but
Do
it
you,
seems like it's excessive.
do you think Gerard Mayo should try some of this motivational tactics with the Patriots? We have
Maybe.
six pre-snap penalties in the first half. You guys are all gonna have to clean up the garbage outside of Gillette Stadium.
Yeah. I'm unplugging all the electricity in the locker room. You're done.
So hey, everyone enjoys your parent corners every week. Rarely did I get multiple people in my life asking the same question about last week's parent corner from you.
With the match. Yeah.
If your kid throws up during the match,
It's supposed to be
why
over.
isn't that an automatic forfeit?
It's supposed to be. Because our coach, which coincides with my story this week, is a lunatic.
So he
was
somehow
all
he
over the
somehow
ref.
talked the ref out of the forfeit.
He had to be like, our kid's nervous. He's not sick. And then my kid's like, yeah, I'm nervous. And they're like, all right, we'll clean up the dominoes and then we'll let you finish. But yeah, that was it. But yeah, normally it is.
It's amazing that
automatic
just
forfeiture.
isn't a rule in Southern California sports, like vomit, wrestling, automatic match over.
Right. Exactly.
And then my
Except
wife wanted to ask, it must have smelled like puke smells.
it
So they
wasn't
cleaned
like
up on the map, but it's like still
yeah,
gonna smell, right?
it was a little bit. It wasn't like Stand By Me, like with the pie
Yeah.
eating contest. I wouldn't say that. But yeah, there was a lot. There was a little bit, and they cleaned it up. And that, yeah, I mean, the kid was like, yeah, that's a good way to like get a kid to forfeit. Like, I don't want to be vomited on. But yeah, that was it.
But then I was thinking maybe that should be Jack's thing. He throws up during every match.
It's his
The
signature
other kid
move.
is so bummed out. He just wants to get pinned.
I once farted so bad that I was wrestling a really good kid, but I shouldn't have been pinned in the first period, but I was.
Yeah.
And then like afterwards, he's like, I'm sorry, man. I had to get rid of you. That was so bad. I was like,
The
yeah.
farting?
I thought it would work. I thought it would work in my advantage, but to my
Yeah.
advantage, but no, he had to step up his arsenal. That was
My
it.
parent corner. So I picked up my daughter on Friday from the airport, and I did the thing where you pull in illegally at the arrivals,
Oh,
park
no.
the car. There were no cops. I think they know because it's Thanksgiving. And I got there. I was like 4 minutes before her, and I was watching these other cars, and there was a lot of kids like coming back from college already on that Friday. And it's like the most emotional hugs. You're like getting choked up in the car watching all these people who haven't seen their kids, and they're just these huge long hugs. And
Yeah.
I'm like, is this the most emotional place in America every year? The kids coming home for Thanksgiving on the airplane and seeing their families. Then I was thinking, if I'm like United, this would be a great commercial over like Fly the Friendly Sky, whatever United's
No, it's
commercial
good.
is.
Yeah.
It should just be like these home movie iPhone shots of all these people, like people were like hugging each other and crying, like they were so excited they see each other. So I'm getting emotional watching, and then my daughter comes in with the bag, and she's like, "Hey, Dad." Just kind of gives me, because I'd seen her a few weeks ago, so I
Right.
was like ready to really have an emotional moment. It didn't happen, but
I thought you were going to say this should be a Twitter feed with only
oh yeah,
embraces
I
at
need
the airport.
I need game ball, locker room speeches, and emotional airport hugs.
Yeah.
But it
I
was
would like
great.
somebody come off and like someone coming off a Spirit Airlines flight. Like, why do you have a black eye? What happened? What? You and Jay Leno? What is this? What's going on?
Are the Illuminati after you? Yeah. So anyway, and I was in a good mood the whole day, and then picked her up. We're talking in the car. We drive back, and we ended up going for a dinner that night. The four of us. It was like old times.
Nice.
And then within not even 24 hours, my wife and my daughter yelled at each other.
Oh,
And
nice.
by Sunday, my wife's like, she's just the kitchen. Like I just, here's what I didn't miss is the way you treat the kitchen. And it's just like, we're just back. It's like,
Right.
oh, the emotion's out the window. Now everybody's yelling at each other again. We're really back though.
Yeah. It might be too much lead up time to Thanksgiving, right? I wonder what the perfect amount is.
Yeah,
2
maybe
days,
like
2.5.
probably like a Tuesday. But
Yeah.
it's nice to have her home. The dog, Murph, just absolutely lost his mind. Like, because he hadn't seen her in 3.5 months. It was he probably didn't even know. What do you think dogs think when people disappear? They're not
I don't
smart.
know.
I don't know if you've noticed, but not like smart animals. Or do they just
Dogs
have
aren't
it's almost
smart?
like have dog Alzheimer's where they're just like they have no long-term memory and it's like, hey, it's that person.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what they think. I don't you know what? I'm so locked into sports gambling and losing. I don't have time to think about what dogs are thinking about
What's
what
your
people
dog
are.
think of Washington somehow losing
I have
to
kids
Dallas?
vomiting on mats and stuff like that. I don't have time to psychoanalyze a dog.
It's great though. It's great to have everybody in one spot.
I like that idea for United or whoever though. That's really, I can't believe they haven't done
I was
that.
trying to think what's a
That's
more
smart.
emotional other than
Yeah.
like happy emotional, not like sad emotional, like a funeral. Like I guess like a wedding would be happy emotional.
Yeah.
Airport, my kid is coming home from college. There's not graduations, maybe. There's not like a lot of just
But
pure happy
wedding,
emotional
it's the
moments.
whole event. But you're right. But the airport, it's that exact embrace moment of embracing, right? Because we think about, I don't know, living out here, we think about the airport as, oh, Andy Dick's going to say something terrible to TMZ,
Right.
stepping off a JetBlue flight or
Right.
something. But you're right, spinning in a positive way.
Even the people whose parents didn't greet them, like hugging the Uber driver.
Yeah,
Like, hey,
exactly. There's always a hug out
Uber
there.
driver's like, ah. All right, that was Parent Corner. What do you have to plug?
What do I have? Simmons through the ringer with the great Tate Frazier against all odds a couple times a week on the Ringer Podcast Network. We're going to review Monday Night Football, go over the big college games and playoff implications. Cousin Sal's winning weekend with Michael Irvin and Ringer pregame show. Now, listen, this has become very competitive, and you know I don't like that. But I gave out a bunch of winners, and it's not a 4-hour show. We only get to talk like 7 times each. Wisest wager was the Bears locked in at 3.5. My dog was the Titans plus 310. Tommy DeVito to not throw an interception. Jacobs over 74.5 rushing yards. And the Ice Cream Sunday, a segment you created, Lions by 11 to 20 points plus 290. What a week for me.
That one hit,
right?
but the Titans didn't hit though. Did they win?
Titans plus
they
310?
did win.
What's the matter
Yeah,
with
they
you?
won. Yeah, so
We
you
just
hit
did
all of
40
those?
minutes on it. You need a hug from your daughter. What's the matter with you? Yes, I hit all
talking
of them.
for an hour and a half. Yeah, for some reason I thought they covered, but
That's
didn't win.
it.
But then you're
Watch
right. Yeah,
the
they
Ringer.
won.
Watch the Ringer pregame show.
How
It's
many
a lot of fun.
how many sides of the Ice Cream Sunday pick did we get?
I was the only one.
Yeah, might not have been.
I don't want to crap on these guys, but I was the only one. What are you gonna do?
I have to plug Yacht Rock on HBO and Max on Friday. It's really good.
Give us a little
tease.
tease. What's good? What are people going to
I'm really glad that Michael McDonald finally gets his just due. But
yeah.
I think put it this way.
You don't know me, but I'm your brother.
He has multiple moments where he just cooks in it, but I think it's not what you think it is, this doc. That's what I will say. I don't want to spoil it, but
What the hell does that mean?
Way more about the music than the comedy of it and stuff like that. I think people are going to be surprised. So,
okay. And it has nothing to do with Vince McMahon?
It doesn't. Vince couldn't work Vince into this.
All right. Next time.
That's it. Cuz, good job by you.
Good job by you, buddy.
We're done with the YouTube feed. You can listen to this podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. You can watch the clips on the Bill Simmons YouTube channel. Thanks to Kyle Creighton and Steve Cerruti and Gahau as well for being our producers for this one. And we will see you on Tuesday on this feed. Sal, have a great Thanksgiving. I'll see you this weekend.
See you at the airport.